Hello, friends. I'm here with a daily encouragement, and today our daily encouragement is coming right out of the book of Proverbs. When pride comes boiling up with an arrogant attitude of self-importance, then come dishonor and shame. But when the humble, the teachable that have been chiseled by trial and who have learned to walk humbly with God, there is wisdom and soundness of mind. Now, that doesn't scream encouragement to me right off, but stick with me. Earlier this week, I had the opportunity to choose to either be prideful with that arrogant attitude of self-importance or to choose to be humble and gain wisdom from the Lord and a peace of mind. And I'm thankful to tell you that I chose to be humble. And I also want to encourage you that I don't always choose that. And I've seen the turnout the other way with that selfish mindset that I mentioned in the first part of the verse. The result of that comes dishonor and shame. And I've experienced that, but I've also experienced walking humbly and submitting myself, lowering myself in the situation instead of exalting myself. And I've been able to see breakthrough in my own personal life. So I just want to give you a little bit of encouragement in that area today. A couple of days ago, my husband and I just weren't on the same page about something. We kind of butt heads on an issue, and I had my point of view, he had his, and they weren't lining up. So I was really emotional already, so I just gave myself some space. I asked him to go back to his office, just give me a moment, because I knew if we stayed in the same room and we kept talking, it was going to turn into a headbutting match. Here's my case, here's your case. Let's try and justify each other, but in a selfish way. So anyways, I took a minute with the Lord. I sought him. I ugly cried. I spilled my heart. I told the Lord everything that I wanted to snap back at my husband. And then I let it all go, and I just praised and I worshiped, and I just focused on the Lord. I focused on what he was doing in me. And when I did that, I was humbling myself. I was no longer stacking evidence against my husband so I could win this argument or whatever. And instead, I was submitting myself to the Lord and seeking his wisdom and wanting peace of mind and how to mend this situation. And he invited me to wash my husband's feet, which was the last thing I wanted to do in the moment when my husband and I were face to face. But when I encountered the Lord, he changed my heart, and I wanted to bring honor to God, and I wanted to honor my husband. I did not want to dishonor him like the first part of that verse said. And if I didn't want to dishonor him, then I needed to not be selfish. I needed to humble myself. And so I set the atmosphere in our bedroom, dimmed the lights, had worship music playing softly, and washed my husband's feet. And I cried and I poured out my heart and my feelings, but in an intimate, vulnerable way, not in a way where I was throwing all of my evidence against him and nailing all of the faults to him so that he could carry that burden alone. Instead, I was just pouring my heart out, asking for forgiveness because I was wrong in the situation too. And the Lord just completely reset our hearts towards each other instead of against each other. And we were able to embrace each other and apologize to each other and just reset for the day. And I so easily could have chosen to stay in that moment when we were butting heads face to face. I could have stayed in that moment. I could have continued my argument and trying to justify myself. But I would have brought dishonor to the Lord, and it would have brought dishonor to my husband, and it really would have set the tone for the rest of the day. It would have, the rest of my encounters with my husband, they wouldn't have been pleasant. And I'm so glad that I chose humility, because it just reset. We were able to have joy and peace and love back in our relationship, and we were just able to move forward and have a really positive outcome. So I just wanted to encourage you with that today. Are there any relationships or areas in your life where you can choose to put down yourself and your desires and how you feel things should go? And can you humble yourself and do something to serve the other person, to mend that relationship and grow? So I just want to challenge you with that today. Seek humility today. What are ways we could humble ourselves today and make it more about God, less about us? So I just pray that this has been an encouragement to you, and let's just press forward in our faith journey together. Let's teach each other how to walk humbly with the Lord. Leave any comments below with anything that you are struggling with. I'd love to pray for you. And if you have an example of a time where you chose humility and you really were able to see the Lord's goodness turn that situation around, I would love to be encouraged by any stories that y'all have. So thanks again for your minutes. I hope this has encouraged you. I know it has me. I love y'all, and I look forward to our next daily encouragement.